So, all right, kind of back on this idea. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is definitely not your preferred outcome, but it is a decent way to handle overbets. Because at points, you don't really know what they're overbetting, and you don't really know how they're approaching their overbet node. And so, kind of the most useful application of this, Eric, is like when you face a giant freaking bet. So, like, kind of, I ended up with this hand today, which I still don't know what the hell happened. There was a tilted fish in the pool, and I'm not sure if it was him or some reg trying to pretend like he was a tilted fish. And I was a little ambiguous based on stack size whether or not that was true. Um, but basically, I ended up with this situation. I think a fairly standard check call here. Truthfully, they've been kind of over bluffing these spots, and so I kind of wanted to put more check calls with middling strength hands in the range. And
All of the money.
all the money. I don't have a clue.
I mean, I just fold and just move on with my life. I don't know.
Well, my problem here though is like if you do actually just fold and move on with your life,
Right.
what happens if the guy's just literally just tilted out of his mind?
Well, this is when you use Lono's patented 12.5% call.
Well, I mean, this time the Lonos 12 and a half is like roughly right. It works out to 11.4. That's
Hey.
the call frequency that guarantees the like some amount of the pot here. So, so it's kind of a weird spot because like I think I have about 90 on this river, give or take. I mean, he does have King 10. He probably has 10-9 too here occasionally. Like, I'm kind of stuck on this thing. Because, like, if I pay off 450 here with this hand and I pay it off Pier, and he never bluffs me, basically I go to minus 45, and then 90% of the time I win 58.50. Well, I've taken my two pair combo, I made it worth $8 on this river. Woot. Really, really spectacular, right? But if I go ahead and I roll for this number and I only call this bet 11% of the time or 12%, I think that was roughly what I was planning on calling. Now, essentially, my hand's going to be at least worth 47. Like, it's not the best case scenario for this thing. If this guy really was a tilted monkey, like, I would want to call him a lot more with this region.
Mm.
But, I really don't know. Like, I'm unclear here on what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And so, like, and then if I always pay off, basically, I ended up generating like a negative EV node, like once you look at the turn. And so, I mean, this seems like a situation where you have to roll for it. Now, the question is like, Pio probably pays off more money than 12% here. He probably pays it off around half. And the reason why I would pay it off around half is because ultimately, like, it's a substantially stronger hand, and it can pay off a lot more money before it loses. I don't know where the threshold is, and Pio might pay this thing off Pier, truthfully, because I mean it is positive to pay off. Like I have to be worth 6, 7, like $7 here.
Yeah, that's like even if he's never bluffing.
Yeah, yeah. If he's never bluffing, and I only see this bet with King 10, and I pay it off every single time, and I would be guaranteed at least $7 out of this node. And if I decide to roll for it, I'm guaranteed about 47. But the 47's a hard cap. I will never make more than $47. Like that is just the maximum number I can make no matter what his strategy is. Unless he bets smaller with things like King 10. And then I'll actually make a little more money here.
Yeah, I guess you can't wait till 24 hours from now to see what this was.
I don't know. I'm so like it's just been like a whole month of this. I have no freaking clue what's going on. It's really like very erratic, right?
Yeah. It's like, why would you do this? You're never gonna get paid, but then you should always bluff.
Yeah, and truthfully,
Wild.
it's not a bad. So if he thinks I don't check call King 10 here, this bet is not bad. And truthfully, even if he thinks I check call King 10 here occasionally, like it's still probably not bad. Like he needs about 99 here. So I don't know if he'll ever actually get to 99 with anything outside of King 10. Because I do check call King 10 on this turn periodically. And my range size is kind of like probably like realistically maybe 400 combos. So, if you're check calling King 10 here occasionally, like you're not going to get to 10x pot. But, if he thinks I overfold, which is really like kind of semi-likely, truthfully, as it goes. So I pulled up this node where they go really big on the river. So they go to like basically 2x pot or bigger. And you can see like I've got 3 samples here where they've jammed. Every one of them's been a bluff.
Hmm.
Now, is this likely to continue? Do we see this very often? No. I think I saw it 3 times in 300,000 hands. This seems like the sort of spot, though, where the roll for it argument really, like, neutralizes these things pretty heavily. Because the funny thing about that roll for it argument in these situations is if you go ahead and you bet 450 here, and I have a 50th percentile hand, and I pay it off 11% of the time. So, and then, basically I lose this 50. I actually have to be positive here. If we go ahead and walk back through this math. Like, I have to be worth, like, something like $4 in this spot. So it really kind of neutralizes the crazy bluff idea. And it's a very effective neutralizer of it, Eric.
Yeah.
It's something to think about when you're in these regions. If you've got data and they don't bluff much on those nodes, the kind of the giant sizings, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't. But like you can see here, like, I mean, like, basically any time some guy's check raised and jammed river is the big blind, it's always been a bluff. And apparently they've always managed to lose the pot. Like, I mean, so, okay, so this one looks like he just decided he was going to go for it.
Yeah. He blocked the straight.
Yeah, he does block the straight, right? And so, like, you catch these sort of players where, like, essentially the biggest bet sizes end up being, like, the bluffiest because they think you're overfolding. This sort of logic really, really neutralizes it. And it doesn't really hang that much skin out for you, which is the other nice thing. Because basically his average win here when he has King 10 now is just, $51. Like, that's still max value for that hand. But you're not hanging out, you're not hanging out $300 here or $500. Because, like, ultimately, I mean, that's kind of the goal with this bet, is to get some guy to botch it and call it about half the time. Because if you can get that botch with King 10, I mean, you're going to make like 2.25. And that's a giant win for King 10 in this spot. And so, like, there's really, I don't think there's any other reasonable way to deal with kind of the crazy overbet strats. Like, I mean, I don't know. We probably have enough data here that we should just call them, but I mean, it depends on who the players are.
Oh, well, you folded.
Yeah, no, I don't know about this one. I don't think there's even a sample in database, truthfully. If we look at this, I would be shocked. Oh, well, 44's happened, 47. Here's a 90. But he overbet turn. So, I mean, we really don't have much here. We have quads. Quads apparently went crazy. All right. So, like,
Wow.
we're not exactly
really wanted all that money.
Yeah, we're not exactly looking through a lot of like crazy hands here. Okay, 38, 38, 34. Oh, this 10-9 hand is the only one, but he mashed turn. He like bet like 3x pot here.
I mean, that seemed like a Tyler Forrester play.
Yeah, it's close. It's like something I would probably do.
We specifically talked about this 3x turn after the check back for sure.
Yeah, in position it's a little sketchy. Out of position makes a ton of sense, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really expect them to slow play a ton of nut hands out of position there. Okay, so on to the big blind and how he's playing against check raise. So, alright. This has been such a garbage. So, alright. So if you start looking over this stuff over the last 300,000 hands, if the board's paired, like, the turn is actually, like, pretty close to optimal on the bluffing frequency. If the turn comes out a 4 flush, like, forget about it. And if the flush turns, it's pretty close. And then if it's an unpaired board and nothing happened, like, now they start to get a little too bluff happy. And
Yeah,
so,
nothing changed by the turn.
yeah, nothing changed by the turn, and, you know, they end up semi-bluffing a bunch, and then, you know, some guys like this stuff where you're just like, I don't even know. I apparently wasn't having this. I was like, this is dumb. You want to draw on me, draw on me.
Ooh. You know, I missed this line yesterday. I felt like I had the opportunity to take this exact line yesterday. Where you could just jam over the turn bet when there's like, especially when it brings a second flush draw, right?
Yeah, I mean, I found myself thinking this was a spot that he wasn't going to be very close.
Yeah.
That he
But
ultimately,
like,
he was just going to have way too many semi-bluffs.
if it's not an ace, and let's say you have ace jack instead, and the turn is, what am I thinking? Sorry, maybe the turn's a queen and you have ace jack. Do you think you still like to jam?
No, you might, but truthfully, like, this is probably a little marginal. What teed me off to it, Eric, was the fact that on this board there's like no 2-pair combos.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he's really repping like sevens or deuces.
That's why I'm wondering if you can just get it in with a jack.
You might be able to. I'm a little careful on these lines. I think database wise, it's like not that big a deal on these boards. If you start actually looking through ranges on like Jack 7 deuce, you're like, well, they have a set or 2-pair, 32% of the time. So, like, if you had an overpair here, it's going to be fairly break-evenish to get in.
Okay.
If you have a jack, though, it's probably actually better because you're going to have less 2 pairs, or a 4, or a 7. And it looks like kind of the 9 high and 10 high boards especially have just been complete garbage with this stuff. Like, when they bet turn here over the last 300,000 hands, they had
Only 13%.
17%. I mean, truthfully, it makes sense. Like, some of these boards are like LOL. Like this one. I mean, how many sets do you really have here?
None.
I mean, you got 6 combos. You got maybe a 10-3, maybe a 10 deuce. Like, you got 8 combos. And how many draws do you have here? 70. I mean, it's one of these spots where, like, ace 10 probably just has to get stacked for balance. Because otherwise you're just, like, leaving yourself open to just the guy being like, I just don't care. The 9 high boards end up with the same generation. The 8 high boards do too. And so if you, like, roll back to the original raise note here, what you'll see is, like, you never really want to 3-bet flop here if the board's paired. Because they're going to have trips, like, somewhere around 22% of the time. If the flop's unpaired, though, it's this number. Actually, it's 32% of the time they have trips. And then if the flop's unpaired and the ace isn't present, I'm pretty sure that number drops to, like, 10. 9% sets and two pairs. And Pio's
Isn't that why does it say like two pair plus 3%?
well, because it's basically this is their category, and
Doesn't that
so
include sets? God.
I don't know. It's their category. They put sets
Okay,
in.
okay.
They put two pairs.
Okay,
I
okay.
can't modify
See what
it,
it
or
is,
if
what
I
it means.
could, it
All
was a
right.
pain in the ass to.
Yeah,
So
it just the plus can just be ignored, I guess. It's just two pair.
yeah. So I mean, you're kind of staring at this board texture going, like I don't know. I must admit, I find these numbers kind of hysterical because these low boards are like we're just gonna like randomly raise them all the time. We're not actually gonna pay attention to our distribution. We're just gonna click raise. And truthfully, the straight boards, kind of have the same flavor. Like, this thing doesn't actually put that many straights out for the out of position player. Like, it's better than average, but like you only have 9-7 suited, you only have 7-4 suited, and so like you're just not that straight heavy here. But guys will treat it like it's the nuts, and so I don't give those as much respect. But middling paired boards, I mean, they just end up with a ton of jacks. They end up with a ton of nines. Like, even the low boards, they end up with like a reasonable number of trips. So these things are, they're just a lot more aggressive than the other board textures. So I end up like, when I think about this in game, I end up evaluating based on the board texture. And I find myself, for better or worse, on these boards right now, betting a little bigger when I don't want them to raise, because they're over-raising them so much. But I don't know if that's the right tact. I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like, if you overbet an 8-high board, they fold 70% of the time.
If you overbet an 8-high board?
Yeah. So, like, if I just kind of randomly mash here. Wow, this is an old hand. They just fold sixes. But if you bet small in that scenario, they check raise sixes.
Yeah.
Like, I know we'll go through these hands and see some like very like reasonable check raises with like random middling pairs. Oh, here's one. Like, here comes the check raise. So I'm not quite sure how I want to deal with this, Eric. Because like when I look at this, you go, geez, like the max exploit here is to bet small every time you have 9x or better, and then just 3-bet flop or raise turn with it. And, if you have overcards, your max exploit's literally just to bet over pot and then watch them fold. Because they're going to try to check raise this stuff a ton. And so, maybe that's a viable option. I don't know. Because, right, I mean, if we look at the fold frequencies here, you get the same kind of vibe on it. So, all right. So what? I guess I don't know if I'm answering your question here, Eric. What about check raising are you like struggling with?
Well, I think we talked about it, like how often to call with the overpairs. More often if it's like sixes or below. Less often if it's sevens through nines that are paired on the flop.
Yeah, and
Seems
truthfully,
pretty
if you
reasonable.
just
I mean, I made some calls with like the medium strength top pairs that the solver thinks are bad, basically. So like queen, if you have queen 10, you open cutoff, big blind flats. Flop comes queen 8-8, and they check raise. Don't really want to be calling down with queen 10 ever. But if it's queen deuce deuce, you could maybe think about it.
yeah, no, definitely on queen deuce deuce, you should be a lot more willing to, because I mean, at the end of the day, they just have a lot more other stuff.
And then if you have an overpair or a really strong hand like ace queen, call half the time on the river. Seems about.
I mean, truthfully, if you look at the data, you probably just shouldn't call it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On the 8-8.
Like,
Yeah. But on the deuce deuce,
I would, what I would do here, Eric, is I would try to think about player type a little bit. Like the Rex, They tend to get a little more bluff happy on those than the pros.
Like when we talk about folding there, it makes me want to check raise every time in that spot and just barrel like a maniac every time. But other people aren't gonna fold.
Yeah, it goes in waves. I don't really know right now